Welcome to the newly rebranded show, Bald Headed Logic.
Welcome to Bald Headed Logic. Three Huskies and NFL alumni whose brains got so big, all their hair popped off. Greg Lewis, Charles Mincy, Donald Jones, with their host, Coach Troy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. I got a message for you. As you know, we've been using the moniker To Be Honest because we keep it real. We tell the truth how we really feel. But after hanging around with these guys at the barbershop, we came up with a new name. It's called Bald Headed Logic. And the reason we call it that is, one, we all bald headed, and we think that the way we bring it is truth. It's impulsive, it's creative, and just what bald headed dudes do. We come up with our own brand of logic. So, like it or not, that's how we're going to give it to you. So welcome to the newly rebranded show, Bald Headed Logic, starring the baldest brothers I know, Big Donald Jones. From my years at the University of Washington, I spent all my time trying to block him and not get hit by him. Charles Stevenson back, who ran me down one time in practice, and he never let me forget it. And then my old friend, Troy Russell, who I met, he was homeless in Seattle. No, this is a guy who in the Seattle area as a coach and came to know, respect him, and appreciate.
Wow, I was hoping
all the things that he did for kids. So we coming together to give it to y'all for real. So welcome to Bald Headed Logic. So before we get into today's topics, Troy usually keeps his nose to the grind. What's happening out there? We wanted to follow up with just an update on a show we did a couple of weeks ago regarding the high school track team in North Carolina that lost the state championship because the player held up the number 5 as he crossed the finish line, signifying their 5th year in a row winning the state championship. And the referee gave him a penalty, which disqualified them. But we got an update on their appeal. So, Don, why don't you tell us what happened since you're down there in North Carolina in the area?
Well, the North Carolina Athletic Association. I was saying, well, the North Carolina Athletic Association got together with all their top executives, and they overturned the ruling of Mallard Creek being disqualified. So that's a great thing. That's great news because it was totally deserving. It was a totally bogus call, and I think the uproar and all the media hype that it got, really influenced that decision. So I'm just thankful that the Mallard Creek kids and all the coaches, they deserve the championship, and so now they're officially the champions, co-champions, by the way, because they wanted to keep Jordan High School. They didn't want to take it away, I guess, which makes no sense at all. But they are considered quote unquote co-champions now. But at least they come home and with the title that they deserve and the recognition that those athletes earned throughout the whole season and the track meet.
Yeah, and my frustration with the whole thing is co. I mean, I understand making a mistake and going back and fixing it, but why does it have to be a co? I mean, if they won, then they should be, they should be the champion. I don't understand why, and maybe you guys can enlighten me on why you think there is a co-champion. Why isn't there why aren't they just the outright champion, being that they would have been if there was never that ruling?
Well, I think that's because we're in the era of participation trophies where everybody gets a trophy now, Troy. So since they had awarded the other school a championship, they didn't want to hurt the kids' feelings and upset them by taking away championship that they had gotten, that they had all got excited about. Again, for me, I agree with you, Troy. Doesn't make a lot of sense. One team won, one team didn't. To give them the co-championship is kind of weak, but I think that's the era that we live in where they don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. But it didn't matter in the original judgment where they took it from Mallard Creek when they had earned it. So I'm a little
care about those kids.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about why this happened. But maybe somebody like Chuck, who's a coach in high school and all that, might have an opinion that's better than mine.
I think that I agree with you guys. It's kind of corny, but I think the reasoning behind it is that they don't feel like the other team did anything to lose it or get it taken away from them. So once they had it, they're celebratory, they're doing whatever. They probably got banners already, and they probably didn't feel like they should take anything away because they didn't do anything to get it taken away, but lose. So
That's what I was going to say, man. What they did was about win the race.
Right. You don't win the race. You shouldn't have it. But I'm thinking that's what they were thinking. So that's the only thing I really come up with.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. But I would think my thought on that is that why would you go through getting banners and all that stuff when you know there was an appeal happening? But people maybe was a little bit pretentious and jumped the gun on that. But I definitely hear you. Greg, Don, did you guys have anything else on this topic?
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think a couple things. One, sometimes when people stand on something and they make a judgment, it can be embarrassing when you walk that back. It can be, sort of I was wrong, and people don't like to be wrong. They don't like to admit it. I saw a case the other day online where a police department had set up a sting for catching people on their cell phones while they're driving. And so this cop stopped this lady, walked up to her and said, "We caught you driving and manipulating your cell phone with your right hand. So we're going to give you a ticket." She said, "Really?" And she held up her right arm, and she didn't even have a hand from this part of her arm all the way down. And so the cop was wrong. So she said, "Well, obviously you were wrong. You want to walk that back and just wish me a great day?" He was like, "Nope." And he still wrote her a ticket, gave it to her. Of course, she contested it and had to go to court. But all that cop had to do was admit he was wrong, that he didn't see what he saw, or made it up. And he held on to that lie all the way to court, where it got dropped, of course, for lack of evidence. But people just don't like to be wrong these days. So I think, for me, that's probably a lot of it. But I also think there were some things, and Don, you might be able to elaborate on this a little bit more, in the last conversation, where there was some insinuation that the referee or judge who called the penalty had some affiliation with the other high school that actually got awarded the co-championship with them. And so maybe their intent was to make sure that that school still got a championship, which leads to the whole thing about, whether there's integrity in sports today in some of those situations. So maybe, Don, you have a little bit more on whether or not that judge was truly affiliated with the other school, and that might have had something to do with it.
Oh yeah, but no doubt it was a couple of people that had affiliation. A couple of the officials had an affiliation with Jordan High School. That was the whole logic behind, behind why was Mallard Creek getting penalized throughout the whole entire meet. I mean, it was obviously there was a lot of prejudice that was going on throughout the whole entire event, because there were other schools celebrating and when they won the championship or they won their race, and nothing was done, and it was documented. I mean, the Charlotte Observer had about 10 pictures of kids celebrating as they crossed the line, and nothing happened to them. So there was definitely some bias toward Mallard Creek, toward the officials, and the logic behind that is because those people were affiliated. They worked at Jordan High School. They coached there. They were administrators there, or they probably had family there. So that was definitely played a role, in the decision. And I think the people at the top saw that, and they know if that never if they didn't correct it, who knows, man? It could have been litigation, and it could have been something very much deeper.
I want to know what happened to the person or the lady. I think you guys said it was a woman. The person who threw that flag on him, or whatever it was, that penalized the kid in the first place. Like, I feel like that individual has some atonement to make. Like, you got to answer some questions. Like, you can't just because then what's to stop it from happening again? What's to stop that from happening the next time? A parent just happens to be, a referee or something like that. They gotta at least speak on the situation. But in education, man, typically you just sweep things under the rug and keep it pushing. So that's probably what you have happening.
Well, she definitely got. I mean, I don't know the lady's name, but she definitely got ridiculed across the country, because I've talked to a couple of NCAA track officials, and they said whoever made that call was out of line. And that in itself, some embarrassment, and shows her lack of judgment. And she probably should. I read a note from Q, who came on the show last week, and he showed me his letter he sent to the North Carolina Athletic Association, and telling them that everybody involved should be disqualified and banned from officiating a track meet. That
Absolutely, yeah.
So so I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that she showed no professionalism whatsoever in doing that. But yeah, so now we're going to get to the topic that I want to talk about, because Mr. Greg Lewis, our esteemed Greg Lewis, and I want to spend a couple minutes on this. And I know we hadn't planned on it, but my brother from another mother, like he said, we've been friends for over 30, maybe 40, I don't know how many years, but a long time, is a finalist on the ballot to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And we just want to congratulate him right now on our show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To our brother Greg.
Well, let's clarify that.
We want to start a campaign to make sure that he gets elected this time and not just gets on the ballot, but we want to get him in because, if he don't deserve it, don't nobody deserve it. Doak Walker Award winner.
Well, the first one though, you gotta. He's the official first Doak Walker Award winner, and that's something that you got to give him credit for being the first.
You got to. I mean, everybody
award is
first. Has been the Hall of Fame. Maybe the first of any major award is in the Hall of Fame. Why isn't Greg in the Hall of Fame? So, we're gonna start a campaign for that because we know it's deserved.
Appreciate that.
Yes,
but make sure we give the people some clarity. It's the National Football Foundation Collegiate Football Hall of Fame. So make sure when you just throw out Hall of Fame, people don't know which one you're talking about. So let's give them some clarity on that. So I appreciate you guys, supporting your boy and, recognizing my contributions. I'll say this. I was told a long time ago, because I've been on the ballot since 2012. I've been on the ballot. So I've been on the ballot for quite some time. That part of the way you get in is because the National Football Foundation is an organization that anyone who has any affiliation and supports college sports or college football in particular can join the organization. But it's a dues paying organization. So in order to get in, they want you to sign up and join, and then they want you to pull along some of your brethren and sister from college athletics that are affiliated with it as well to join. And that's really how you get in. So
wow.
I'm not necessarily trying to get myself in by joining and paying. It's almost like buying your way in. I appreciate just the recognition of being nominated, which means that somebody recognized that I made some valuable contributions to college football, which is enough for me. Who wouldn't like being in the Hall of Fame? I've been inducted into the Husky Football Hall of Fame, the Seattle Public Schools Hall of Fame, the Pacific Northwest Football Hall of Fame. And so, those are all things that I cherish and I appreciate. Probably for me, the biggest bonus and benefit for getting elected would be bringing more attention to the University of Washington. That, hey, we got superstars. I'm on the screen right here with two of them right now, two men that not only made a mark in college football, but also were great NFL players. But it just shines that spotlight on the University of Washington, Dog Nation, Husky football. And so for those reasons, I wouldn't mind, being elected and going in. I would be proud. And behind the scenes, there's another dog. You guys go get to see him every week, but Lynn Matson, another great Husky football player that played defensive lineman at the UW. We have a long, proud history of great football players and played great football. We got 2 national championships officially recognized. There's probably another one that should have been recognized in 1984, where we got robbed by BYU getting the national championship, playing the week schedule of any national champion in the history of college football, when the Huskies should have been named national champions after beating the mess out of Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, that 84 Husky team. And then 1990, had it not been for one late season loss, and even then, that team could have been recognized as one of the national champions. So I think just that history and, just wanting to make sure the University of Washington continues to be acknowledged as a great football program would be my main reasons for wanting that sort of recognition, because it just shines a spotlight on the dog. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all want to go join the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame to give me some more votes?
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate it. But
what we do is we'll put the link in this video where people can go and click on the link. We all I'm gonna go join, and I'm gonna make sure I put my vote in there, and make sure we're represented. At least we can now pay to vote. In some states they won't be able to vote for the official that they want, but we can control the situation here.
That's taxation with representation. So yeah, we'll do that, man. We'll take
Absolutely,
that. Yeah, I'll
absolutely.
pay to get
Yeah.
in.
I'll throw my dub up for that.
Absolutely. Yep. So to everybody, click on the link below, join it, and vote. Make sure we vote for Greg and get him in that Hall of Fame because he represents. Because like I think Chuck said this best. I mean Greg represents all of us. You know, everybody in the Husky family. You know, he represents us. You know, and he earned it on the football field, and we need to go and make sure he gets in.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better.